Yo, what's poppin'? Today I'm gonna be doing something for the first time ever. Like, I'm literally the first person to ever do this, and that is to create a meta tier list. I know this sarcasm is heavy-handed, but I just gotta say that that's clearly a joke. But yeah, I'm doing it. It seems like a lot of fun, and it seems like a good way to force myself to think about the meta. On top of that, some, I guess, philosophical things I want to mention. One is I think every deck sucks until it proves otherwise. So Salad, Striker, if I haven't seen them doing well, I'm not necessarily going to crown them. I don't really like thinking of things as tier 1, 2, 3, 0, etc., etc., etc. I have it sorted out by best deck. So this is just going to be for the best deck of the meta, in my opinion. The top contenders, so these would be the tier 2 and 3 decks that can push for best deck depending on how the meta shakes out. These are viable decks, you can do really well at a tournament. You could possibly win a tournament if things go your way, but the odds aren't necessarily stacked in your favor. Rogue deck, we know what rogue decks are, and if you want to, if you're a big Plunder fan, I'm sorry to offend you, play Plunder. So that's all I've got. Let's just hop in. Oh, wait. If you like the video, hit me with a like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff. If you do not, that is just fine. I still hope you have a good day. And with that, let's hop in. Starting with Adamancipator. I think Adamancipator is a solid rogue deck. I think if the die rolls correctly and they just mill perfectly and, hit Guardian, they can get so much advantage, play through hand traps, and break boards. Because there's so many effects that you have to negate if they open the 3 different Adamancipators. So I think it is honestly a solid rogue deck. It's not world beating by any means, but it can absolutely do stuff. This is Invoked, and this is just going to cover all of the Invoked variants. So I would say Invoked Shaddoll is probably viable. It's not anything crazy, and I think it'll do well at the start of the format when things are slower and not everything is really hammered out. But I don't think it's anything crazy. I don't really think it's that great. It's not bad either. It'll definitely take games, take matches if you are not prepared for it, and you definitely have to think about this deck. Spoiler alert, Drytron, that's the best deck of the format. Fight me. I just think the resource engine is so strong. It's super, super resilient. Droll doesn't always stop it because you have the Orange Light plus Called By plus Relinquished to eat the Droll. So yeah, it can play through hand traps. It has Zeus access. It's just the best deck right now. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, it's the best deck. Next, we have Adignisters. I would say this is also in the viable category. I think it's pretty solid. I just haven't really seen it do too much. I know Pack did really well with it at the last LCS, but I think that was more about people not being prepared for it and of course, Pack is Pack. So, if him doing well with something isn't as relevant as me doing well with something. If I took Adignisters to a top 16 finish at the LCS, then it's okay, that deck is really good. If Pack does it, it's okay, is Pack good? Yes. Or is it the deck? I don't really know. But he's really the only person I've seen playing it. So, and having any success with it. So for now, I'm going to call it viable. If it just blows through the next LCS and remote YCS, then okay, I'm very happy to be proven wrong. Our first top contender, and that is Tri-Brigade. I still think the deck is crazy. Losing Trident isn't great. but like it can still do so much. Rescue Cat is a slept on starter for the deck. It's just still super, super solid. And it's super flexible. Like if the format calls for running a bunch of hand traps, it'll throw in a bunch of hand traps. If the format calls for running a bunch of just traps, it'll play a bunch of traps. That's cool. Yeah, I really like Tri-Brigade. I'm glad I still have the deck. Play what you want. If you like playing Buster Blader, bruh, go and do it. Do you, King? I'm gonna say the same with Cyber Dragons. I'm sorry, Hakuna my data, but I just don't see them doing anything. I'm sorry to offend. Not much to say there. BA seems like a solid rogue deck. It's got a really, really good grind game, but beyond that, it's just not anything crazy. Like I'm not really worried when I get paired with a BA player, if you know what I mean. Pendulum, I don't know. I haven't seen it do anything. All I've seen from Triff is him playing Salad. So if you want to play Pendulum, bruh, go ahead and do it. I think Striker is honestly a top contender. I think one, it has a really good matchup specifically with like Tri-Brigade, because the low impact hand traps like Valor and stuff really hurt this deck, and Striker can run so many of them. And then it also has a better grind game than basically everything else in the meta that I can think of. So yeah, Striker, very, very good. That's definitely a deck you have to think about at the moment. Orchest, best deck? No. Orchest is probably Rogue. Orchest, I love Orchest, and I'm really happy with my current build, but I don't know. Honestly, I think Orchest is Rogue, and maybe that's partially my heart talking, but I think it can really, really keep up with a lot of the meta decks now that dragons aren't as meta relevant. Like, dragons were just 4 steps above every other deck, in my opinion. Oh, but they didn't win everything. I don't care. Dragons were much better than all of the other decks, in my opinion, as I said. So when you don't have to contend with dragons, you can run like a different suite of going second cards, and you can run fewer going second cards. Which means that like my Orchest build right now, I can run more extenders and more starters because I don't have to worry so much about, stopping dragons from just blowing me out of the water. I do think this is currently at the low end of Rogue, but I think it's a solid deck. Salad, we're gonna toss. I would say at the lower end of viable. Again, I've seen it do some stuff, and you kind of have to think about it, but I don't think it compares to any of the top 3. I would probably choose. Here, actually, we're going to make a switch. I think Cybers is at like the top end of viable, and Salad is kind of at the low end of viable. Again, I'm happy to be proven wrong. I know the grind game is ridiculous. I know it's a super, super consistent deck. Like, it might brick the least of any of these decks on here so far, because it's like just really simple 1-card starters, but the ceiling of the deck isn't super high. And Mirage Stallion is nice, but again, it's not anything that's world beating to me at the moment. Eldlich, I don't know. Eldlich, I just have never thought Eldlich was that good. It takes too long to get the engine going. Okay, scratch that. After Synchro Eldlich, I don't think Eldlich has ever been good. Takes too long to get the engine going, and then it's like hee hee pop, hee hee banish, and then it's like, okay, so what? If you can play through those 2 interruptions, which like basically all of these decks can, then you're fine and you're going to outpace it. And it does not go second well at all. So, yeah, I don't think Eldlich is good. Fight me. Earth Machines, Aerosol, I'm sorry. I don't think the deck is that crazy. Like, the engine doesn't set up any interruptions except for, like Machina Overdrive into Citadel, which is good. Raigeki on your opponent's turn, super solid. But beyond that, it's like, it loses to common hand traps, like it still loses to Droll, gets hurt by Ash, and yeah, if you don't draw the proper interruptions, then you're just boned. So, I'm sorry. Madolche is surprisingly solid, really annoying to play against. I would definitely call it Rogue. I don't have anything to say other than that. Same with Geist. It has a really hard time going second, but it's still a solid deck. Unless you're like Rod 30 and you just open Imperm Faker every game, then you're just fine. But if you're not that good, then going second with Geist can be really hard. Ogdoadic, I'm really sorry. Plunder, I'm throwing you in that boat too. Zoo is an interesting one. Zoo basically just goes back to where it was before Trident came back, and that is just a pure going second deck. And I think it's still okay. So, like, not having a first turn play really sucks. And if your opponent is wise to you and just knows, like, okay, let them go first, they can't set up Trident, like, yeah, they'll have hand traps, but so what? But yeah, I think still any deck that has instant access to Zeus is a deck you have to consider. So I would probably throw that into Rogue. Oh, this Zeus is actually supposed to also be Zeus, so I'm just going to throw that there. Rat and Zeus are buddies. From here we have Prank Kids. So I've always hated on Prank Kids. I don't think they're that good, but I've seen enough success with the deck to throw it at least in viable. It's another one of those decks where you can run like 20 engine cards, 20 hand traps, and call it a day, which those decks can definitely have success. And any deck that can run like Tikaboo is going to be solid. It's a solid deck. It's a solid deck. As much as it pains me to say it, like, I think the deck is, again, it's a deck that you have to be aware of in the meta. From there, Dragons. I think the Dragoonity stuff is still pretty good. I honestly think, this is me projecting a bit, I think Dragons are going to be able to bounce back. I think Dragons are going, like, losing LP Sharker 1 hurts, but the deck is just going to pivot and figure out a better way to play. I think Dragons are still going to be decent once we get good people like playing it and figuring out the best way to do it. Once Deadly B7 it starts grinding Dragon Link, we'll know, like, yeah, the deck I think is still going to be good. And DB Grinder made the point earlier, like, people have now kind of pivoted to a lot of low impact hand traps because they're what's most effective against, stuff like Tri-Brigade, like Ash, Valor and stuff. And Dragon Link, even without LP, can play through that like it's nothing. So I think Dragons are still going to be viable. We'll just have to wait and see. We're coming to the tail end of it here. E-Heroes. Sorry, Jaden. Guru. As in Dragoon Control. I guess it's probably Rogue. What does it do going second? Honestly, I think the deck sucks. I think Guru sucks. I know Mass Hail on DB is super high rated with it, but he's just a god. And Dinos. Dinos are Dinos. They still have like board breaking potential. They don't have as much follow-up. But I think what always happens with these decks is like they get hit on the ban list, people stop playing them, people stop thinking about them and stop worrying about them, and then they get, and then someone innovates, tweaks something, makes the deck really good again, and they take over the format. And I could absolutely see that happening with Dinos. But I have a hard time. I would say this is also kind of at the lower end of Rogue. So to do a little bit of cleanup here, I would say, yeah, Drytron, absolutely the best deck. Striker and Tri-Brigade are definitely going to be neck and neck. I could see Striker taking over, but I could also see Striker like falling off once people kind of learn how to play against it and learn like learn the best cards against it, and people start siding and maining those if it becomes that big of a deal. From here, yeah, I think I said all of these correctly, which is why I fucking put them there. Yeah, I guess that's all I got. Tell me how stupid I am. If you think I did everything absolutely wrong, let me know. I'd appreciate hearing from you. All that being said, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like the video, hit me with a like, comment, and subscribe. And if you don't like the video, that's cool. I still appreciate you, especially if you hated the video and you made it to this point. Like, what are you doing? All that being said, have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.